Are you making adult goals but still eating like a child? That's the question that I had to face back when I used to weigh over 439 pounds. I wasn't lazy. I wasn't stupid. It's just that I hadn't grown up yet in the way I was eating. Well, stick to the end of this video because I'm going to show you 5 childish ways that I used to behave that kept me at 439 pounds. And I'll also show you the adult upgrades that helped me lose over 150 pounds naturally. No surgeries, no injections, and no crazy pills. Just principles and execution. And by the end of this video, you'll be able to see what exactly is keeping you stuck. Let's get to it. So first off, we have the childish side on the left side and the adult side on the right hand side. And what's interesting is that one of the first things we learn as a child are our ABCs. And guess what? We're going to use our ABCs to get healthy. So first off, we have appetite on the childish side. When I used to weigh over 439 pounds, guess what I let rule my day? Guess what I let guide everything that I ate? My appetite. My appetite ruled me. I ate what I wanted to eat based on how I felt. I would go crazy back in the day. I would eat Cheesecake Factory, for example, and get 2 appetizers, and then get an entree, and then get a dessert. And I'd get all this food and make excuses for myself and just tell myself, oh, you know what? I'm not going to eat all of this in one sitting. You know, I'll have something for later. It was just reckless. It was reckless. No wonder I weighed over 400 pounds. But if you think about it, that's how children eat. They make decisions based off of what tastes good. They only focus on flavor. But we have to prioritize nutrition over that. And once I made the shift to the adult side, alignment, I had to focus on, well, who do I want to become? What does God want from me? You know, it says in Genesis that God created the heavens and the earth. That's the first thing God tells us about himself, is that he created. And also, the first thing that God mentions about us is that he made man and woman in his own likeness and image. So I submit to you that it's safe to say that God created us to create stuff. He created us to be creators. Well, how can I be a creator? How can I please God and serve people if I'm letting my appetite be my master? I have to prioritize the best version of myself. And that's only going to be done through alignment. You have to get your head right. You have to focus on what goals do you want to accomplish? What do you want to be remembered for? I had to change that mindset when I used to weigh over 400 pounds because I was letting my appetite rule me, and it just led me down a dark path. Next we have B, which is binging. What do children normally do? They binge without any control, right? Same thing that I used to do. When I was 439 pounds, I would binge watch all my favorite Netflix shows, all my favorite TV shows. I would sit in front of the TV and I would play NBA 2K on PlayStation from 6 p.m. sometimes to 5 in the morning. It was crazy. But what do adults use? We use boundaries. So you have to have boundaries in your habits. Once I started placing boundaries, it actually helped improve my life dramatically. And I know that that's not a word that many people find sexy or attractive, boundaries, right? Many of us feel like, oh, I want to be free. You know, I want to be able to do whatever I want. But it says in the Bible that we are either bound to sin or we're bound to righteousness. There is no in between. You can't enjoy freedom without boundaries. And I'll give you a case in point. You can go out right now and drive on the roads. And imagine if you tried to ignore all the boundaries. Oh, I'm going to ignore the stop signs and the traffic lights and all the lines. I'm going to ignore all that. Good luck with that. Or enjoy the freedom of your house, right? You can roam free around your house for the most part. However, what if people didn't have to respect those boundaries and they could just enter your house whenever they want? It'd be a whole different story, right? We have to have boundaries in order to enjoy our freedom. But binging without any type of control, it just leads downhill. It leads to obesity, sickness, especially with our eating, of course. Sickness, disease, depression. That's exactly what I suffered through when I weighed over 400 pounds. Next, we have another big one, convenience. When I was over 400 pounds, and what most children do, and unfortunately most adults, eat based off of convenience. We have our drive-thrus, what's easy to make, what's microwavable. We just focus on what's grab and go, what's cheap, and worry about the consequences later. But if you focus on convenience and prioritize that when it comes to your eating habits and your exercise habits, it's just not going to work out. That's what I focused on back in the day. And again, it just led me to feeling sad, feeling depressed, feeling sorry about myself. And it didn't benefit me at all. But the shift that I had to make, the adult upgrade, is consciousness, is raise my awareness. You know, they say being aware of the problem is half the battle. I had to be more conscious of what I ate and when I ate and how I ate. I had to make little changes, like when I eat, make sure I put my fork down in between bites and actually savor my food. How often nowadays do we just scarf our food while we're playing with our phones or watching TV and just doing mindless eating? It didn't work out well. Also making slight adjustments like chewing my food thoroughly, right? Making sure that I prioritize protein first and whole foods first. These are conscious decisions I had to make to help me get healthier. Let's look at the next one, distractions. As I mentioned before, that ties closely with binging. I would play video games all day. I would watch TV all day. And there's a beautiful word that I heard that's synonymous with distractions, and that's anesthesia. That's a good one, y'all. I heard that anesthesia, our entertainment, is the anesthesia that we subject ourselves to numb ourselves from the pain of not fulfilling our dreams or living our lives to our fullest potential. Isn't that crazy? You ever think about that? When you raise your consciousness, your awareness of what you do, think about why you're doing it. There's so many times that old 400-pound me would play video games all day so that I don't have to think about not living my life to my fullest potential, or scrolling on the phone all day so I don't have to think about or take responsibility for my life. I know I'm not the only one. I had to make the shift of not focusing so much on distractions and prioritize discipline. Now I know discipline is another one of those words that's not popular, that's not sexy, and a lot of people associate discipline with suffering. But do you know what the word disciple means, which is a root word of discipline? Disciple means learner. And when I think about discipline, I don't think about suffering. I think about, what can I learn about myself? How much can I learn about my potential? How much can I learn about my limits, which are usually imaginary and self-imposed? How far can I go? When you look at it that way, it changes the game for you. It definitely did for me. Even to this day, when I work out, I'm going to get there soon, y'all. I'm still not able to do full push-ups. But guess what? Before I was able to get close to doing full push-ups, I was doing push-ups on the wall, on the door frame. So I was able to use discipline to learn my limits and then stretch my capacity and see how far I can go. And you surprise yourself when you test your limits. Next, we have excuses. How do children live by their excuses, right? And we get caught in that childish way of thinking. Oh, I'll start tomorrow. I'll start Monday. Oh, it's not that bad. Back when I was over 400 pounds, I had a whole lot of these, a whole lot of excuses. And I even used distractions and binging to make good excuses. Let me tell you what I used to do. Because, there's something about feelings. They're the world's greatest salesmen. I would play 2K. I would play PlayStation all day, right? And then I would listen to an audiobook while doing so. And it made me feel like I was being productive. Now, mind you, I am listening to an audiobook, so you might be able to say, yes, it's pretty productive, but I wasn't really executing everything that I was listening to. They say knowledge is power, when really it's applied knowledge is power. So if you think about it, I'm playing video games and using that as anesthesia for not living my dreams, right? But then I feel guilty about playing so many video games. So then I'm listening to the audiobook to use it as anesthesia to numb the pain of me playing the video games. It's crazy, right? And that's why I said, feelings, they're the best salesmen. But once I looked in the mirror, I took a cold, hard look in the mirror and realized, man, I'm not where I want to be. I don't have the energy that I desire. My clothes aren't fitting as well as I'd like them to. I don't feel good about myself. I had to stop with the excuses because my excuses weren't helping anyone. They were only harming me. And what's interesting about excuses is that they sound so good when we're the ones making them, right? But no one else cares about them. Excuses aren't going to put any food on the table. They're not going to pay any bills. They're not going to help make any aspect of your life better. So once I made the shift from excuses to execution, Again, game changer. Everything changed for me. I enjoyed listening to my audiobooks, but the fact of the matter is I would listen to my audiobook and say, oh, that's a good idea. I should apply that. Oh, I'm going to do that. And then I felt good in my mind. I felt the reward. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. I'll get to that later. But then there's the law of diminishing intent, meaning the longer you wait to implement something and you have good intention, the longer you wait, the more likely it's going to fade away. And then I go to another book and go to another book. But once I realized, you know what? Faith without works is dead. I need to execute. That's when it changed the game for me. Even when I don't feel like working out, I work out. Even when I don't feel like eating healthy, I eat healthy. And don't expect it to be perfect. You're not going to be perfect along the way. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have slips and falls. It's okay. You forgive yourself, pick yourself up, and get back on it. That's it. It's really as simple as that. All right, so check this out. Notice how with each of the childish words, I didn't cross out the word because these words aren't necessarily bad. It's all about, well, really the first one, alignment. It's all about priority. And what's interesting is once you get your eating habits in alignment, guess what it helps improve? Your appetite. Here's what I mean by that. A lot of people don't eat healthy because they feel like healthy food doesn't taste good. It's not necessarily that healthy food doesn't taste good. You have to realize that a lot of the processed foods that are out there, they were made with scientists. A lot of the processed foods were made with scientists. If you think about the tobacco industry, a lot of people who worked in the tobacco industry, they transferred over to the food industry to help make it addictive. So there are certain foods that you can eat that make it addictive, and they also alter your taste buds so that healthier foods don't taste as good. But listen to me when I say this, your taste buds will change. You just first need to detox from the junk foods and then create a habit of eating healthier foods, and your taste buds will adjust. You know, there are certain foods that I absolutely hated as a child, but I love now. For example, spinach. You may think this is crazy, but I'll eat spinach without any dressing or anything. It's not something I do all the time, but if I'm in a time crunch, I'll eat spinach just like that, and kale just like that. No dressing, no seasonings, nothing. And it doesn't taste bad to me. It doesn't, I'm not going to lie and say it tastes like pizza or steak, but it doesn't taste as bad as it did when I was a child, but my taste buds adjusted. And that's just a small example. Your taste buds will adapt if you give yourself a chance and you detox from the junk food. And then there's also foods that I absolutely loved as a child, but I don't even touch now. For example, bologna sandwiches. I used to eat that all the time as a kid. Now, I wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole. So my point is your taste buds will adapt. And so once you get your eating habits under alignment, it will help improve your appetite for holy foods, for whole foods, God's foods. And when I say whole foods, holy foods, foods made by God, and whole foods, foods that have one whole ingredient as the title. Celery, apples, broccoli, etc., etc. All right, check this out as well. Boundaries. Once you have appropriate boundaries set, you can make it so that you can binge things in a healthy way. Just like I mentioned before, I used to binge video games and binge my audiobooks. Well, guess what? I still binge my audiobooks. Video games, not so much. But I can enjoy binging certain things within boundaries, and it won't feel limiting. Consciousness, tied to convenience. That's another big one. Once you're more aware of how you eat, how you live your daily lives, how you exercise, and how you set up your environment, your environment is so powerful in how you can get healthy. Guess what? It makes doing the right thing convenient. For example, I began setting my shoes by my bed and my gym clothes, getting them together the night before. I set baby steps for myself back when I was 439 pounds. And for example, I would make a goal for myself and I'd make a deal with myself. All I have to do is just step foot in the gym. I can literally, I lie to you not, I set this as a goal. I can literally walk into the gym doors, scan my ID, and then if I don't feel like working out, I can go home. That's the deal I made to myself. And guess what? 9 times out of 10, I already put all the effort to get dressed, get to the gym. 9 times out of 10, I would get my workout done. And guess what? There were still times. I think I did this for at least a year and a half where I made that my goal or my agreement. There were 2 times I can recall where I did go to the gym. I scanned my badge and walked out. And both times, I had lack of sleep. I was tired. I literally dragged myself to the gym. One of those times, I actually even fell asleep in the car. I said, I don't feel like going. I don't feel like working out. I took a nap, woke up, and then come to find out, man, I already have an appointment later on. I'm not even going to have time to work out today. I literally walked in that gym, scanned my ID, walked right on out. And I didn't feel bad about it at all. Because I know that out of doing this for almost a year and a half, 2 years, there was only 2 occasions where I actually didn't work out. So sometimes you have to use your awareness and know yourself, right? And make it so you have systems in place where doing the right thing, doing the beneficial thing for you is actually convenient. Discipline and distractions. Now, I know distractions are normally painted as a bad word, and usually they are. However, when you're disciplined, it'll set you up so that you can enjoy your distractions guilt-free. Discipline can be your borders, your boundaries, and how you achieve your goals, work your way up your life. There is a such thing as healthy distractions, setting breaks, setting vacations. But the good thing is they will be planned, and you're just going to be more aware of when you're in between the two, because we're human, right? Distractions are going to come. And then last but not least, executing properly, it's going to help reduce your excuses. As a matter of fact, executing properly is going to set it up where you look for excuses to do the right thing. For example, when I get invited to go out, hang out with friends and things like that. Oh, well, that's an excuse for me to, since I'm already going to be out the house, I might hit up the gym or go to the sauna, right? Or this could be an excuse for me to go try a new healthy option at a restaurant, right? So all of these words are not necessarily bad, right? You don't want to let go of all the childish ways of your life, right? Because you want to still have joy in your life, but you want to prioritize your adult habits so that your childish ways will be more in control, if that makes sense. It says in the Bible, when I was a child, I spoke as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man or a woman, an adult, I put away childish things. And I'm telling you, these are the 5 childish ways that kept me stuck in the adult upgrades that I had to apply in order to get healthier. I hope you all enjoyed this video and learned something new. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share for more content like this. And remember, faith doesn't work unless you do. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next video.